We are now joined with Masterz1337. Hello.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
It's going great. In fact, it is going super awesome after watching that trailer. I'm not sure if I can control myself. Let's start things off. What is single player version 3 for the newcomers?
It's our third revision at the original campaign. You know, in 2005, we kind of had this idea of re-releasing the campaign, you know, with updated visuals and updated weapons and stuff and features from the later Halo games. And then, you know, a few years later, we went to go do a second version, which never really materialized. And now we're almost done with our third revision, which we think is really the definitive Halo experience for the Halo 1 campaign.
If you look at it, it's kind of got like an anniversary feel to it, but yet a whole new custom feel at it at the same time.
Well, it's got a little bit of everything. We have things from 2, 3, Reach, 4, the books, Halo Wars, you know, some of our own creative design, some that are, you know, old fan ideas that never really materialized in the actual games. So it's got a little bit of everything.
So, do you guys have all of the campaigns for the first Halo?
We're focusing right now on just releasing the first 5 missions, Pillar of Autumn, Halo, Truth and Reconciliation, our own new take on the Silent Cartographer Evolved, and Assault in the Control Room. And then we're going to do everything that introduces the Flood to the end of the game, plus an extra bonus mission, which will be released hopefully sometime next year, if everything goes according to plan.
That's exciting. I haven't even heard about the new bonus mission. I'm excited now.
So in the trailer, we saw some new grenades. How will all that work?
Alright, well, you saw we have 2 grenades. One we've already established is the EMP/shock grenade that was shown during Media Month for Silent Cartographer Evolved. The second one is the cluster grenade, which is a fuel rod-based grenade. And when you throw it, it separates into other smaller explosives that can be, you know, tossed around. You can throw it up against the wall and have it rain down smaller grenades on enemies. We showed that in the trailer when it got launched in the air by a brute shot. And it's one of the cool little things I like about it is, you know, most of the time a grenade goes by you, you have to jump out of the way. The explosions are actually small enough that you can actually jump over the explosions. So if they throw it at you and it goes behind the cover, you can jump up behind the cover and, like, shoot some, you know, fire at the enemy. And then while it explodes, you can land where it just exploded and not be hurt. It's a pretty cool grenade. I have a lot of fun using it.
So you mentioned that there was an EMP grenade. Now, does that actually disable vehicles, or does it just take away shields?
It takes away shields and can disable vehicles. So if you hit a Covenant vehicle with it, that vehicle would be stunned until the grenade finally explodes. And, you know, the vehicle would be stuck on the ground. Covenant vehicles only, though. We can't do it for human. But I should note that you know, if it does hit a human vehicle, it'll strip the player's shield. And the way our vehicle health system works is if your shield is gone, then the vehicle can take damage. So it's still dangerous to human vehicles, maybe more so than the cluster grenade or frag grenades.
So what do we have for the new AI? Have you added any new ones?
Well, we have skirmishers, which were shown, and we have the brutes, and the brutes come in 3 variants. We have the naked brutes, which are based off the Halo Reach design and gameplay. Then you have power armor brutes, which use the stalker helmet. They're really neat. I actually almost enjoy fighting them more than elites. They have an energy shield that recharges twice as quickly as the elites, but isn't quite as strong. But once you deplete the shield, instead of being able to just, like, shoot them in the head, they have their power armor, and you have to destroy the power armor, otherwise the shields can come back. So it's like a 3-step process: strip the shield, strip the armor, and then, you know, kill the brute either with body shots or a headshot. And then the last one would be our chieftains, which have an energy shield that reflects all ballistic weaponry. So it forces you to have to use a combination of weapons or grenades in order to pierce the shield, then take off the helmet, and then shoot them in the head. And you can kill them through, you know, regular automatic fire too, but that's not really ideal.
Now, most of the levels for SPV3 are getting extensions. Are there some levels that may not get extensions too?
Truth and Reconciliation isn't getting an extension. Keys isn't getting an extension. They just have just the way the original levels were designed, we just don't have a good way to loop stuff in. But everything else is getting an extension or a remake in the case of Silent Cartographer.
So, we've talked about grenades, we talked about bipeds. What about new vehicles?
Well, if you look in the trailer, you'll see there is some familiar vehicles from another project, you know, that we're currently, well, honestly, we weren't sure if we were going to have them at all. But, you know, right now they're planned to be in, and we actually just started experimenting with another new vehicle, which actually makes that other vehicle even more relevant. So we have those. And then we showed the Scorpion in the trailer, but that's being replaced by the Grizzly tank. And it's kind of hard to tell in the video because we're still optimizing that area. but it actually has a burst fire cannon. So instead of just firing, a single explosive shell out of the cannon, it goes one, and then it pauses half a second, and then shoots another. So it's pretty cool when you shoot a grunt and he dies, and all his grenades drop, and then the second round impacts, and then all those grenades go off too. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot.
So can you hijack enemy vehicles?
You can hijack enemy wraiths and ghosts. That's all we're announcing as far as enemy hijacks right now. We're not doing the banshees just because if we did, we'd have to make it be only in some situations, and then, you have to work around making sure the player doesn't break the level. Doing it like if you stole a banshee on Halo or Silent Cartographer, that kind of would ruin the mission.
We saw that in the trailer there were updated grunt models. Are any of the Marines or crew members on the Pillar of Autumn going to get updated too?
The Marines are getting an update. We already have the ODSTs. The crewmen is something we're still looking into. We only have so many resources and so many things we want to do. And sometimes, if it's going to be a character, that's only going to be in one mission or seen once briefly, we just kind of have to, bite the bullet and say, they're not going to get the same level of attention that, other things should. But we still are hoping to do at least a higher res reskin or face transplant, to make them look a little bit nicer.
What features does this map have that OpenSauce takes capable of?
Oh man, there is a laundry list of those. Well, first you have our vehicle health system that's dependent on OS. You have the new grenades. You have weapon behaviors like the battle rifle with the toggle burst. You have hijacking. You have loadouts, vehicle boosting, plasma pistol, drain and recharge. The Covenant recharge stations, which we actually didn't get to show in this trailer, but there's going to be stations where you can recharge your Covenant weapons. Oh, obviously the armor abilities, or armor upgrades as we're calling them now, because they're not as much abilities as upgrades you do to your suit. Those are OS dependent. The pistol even uses OS, to lock the fire rate to make it like the Halo 1 pistol when you zoom in, but make it a very quick firing weapon when it's unzoomed. There's a few more I'm probably forgetting, but it's really something ingrained in the center of the mod. Now we can't really even think about not using it, and of course updated graphics.
And then in the Pillar of Autumn, the first level, it's set in space. So is there going to be any features because of that?
Yeah, that's actually another OS feature. We have some crewmen typing away at terminals, and when you see them, they'll get slaughtered by the Covenant, and you have the option to turn the terminals back on or leave them off. And if you leave them off, there's 3 of them. The gravity on the ship will become unstable, and you have to fight in low gravity environments, which some of our testers have been really annoyed by it. Some of them really like it. That's why we're making it, a feature where, you can control how much the gravity wants to go off or how much, or if it's just going to be constantly on. But that's another OS feature. And then also, we also have turrets in the Pillar of Autumn too, where you can turn those on and off, kind of like in the original Perfect Dark.
We've talked about grenades, but we haven't really focused on new weapons. What new weapons have you brought this year?
Well, in the trailer we classify new weapons as things that are new to the game. But, this was our first time showing you guys the particle carbine, although what we showed, well, at the time of recording this, I should note that we're trying to get the updated model in game, and that an older model is in the trailer that everybody's seen so far in this discussion. But we showed the particle carbine and our focus carbine, which is pretty much a focus rifle, but a little bit different. We have the updated brute plasma pistol, which, can light people on fire. And there's a few other things. I'm a big fan of needle-based weaponry, so you'll notice that we didn't show the spiker, and the spiker has never been a favorite weapon of mine. So you can imagine that there's something going on there.
Are there really any new human weapons that we haven't talked about?
We try to stay away from adding human weapons into the game. The main reason is that we already have a bunch of them. We do have some other ones planned for the second half of the game, that are very anti-flood. So, the flamethrower comes to mind. There is a planned returning weapon from SPV3 that doesn't really have much of a role in the first half of the game. But we mainly like to focus on, being creative with the Covenant, because when you have a human weapon, you have a new tool for the player. But when you make a Covenant weapon, it's not only a new tool for the player, but it's a new obstacle as well. So we try to focus on, Covenant stuff. And plus, when you do the Covenant, you can always be a lot more creative and, kind of bend the laws of physics and rationale, to like make something that's like crazy and cool. So like, how does the brute plasma pistol light people on fire? I really don't have that great of an idea, but I know it's cool and it fits. So
what are the release dates for the first half of SPV3?
Well, I thought when Halo 4 came out, one of the cool things was, every week having an adventure to look to in Spartan Ops. So we're kind of copying that idea. We're actually releasing A10 on November 26th, which is actually the 10-year anniversary of the formation of CMT. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. And so we're releasing Pillar of Autumn then, and then each week after each week we're going to release another map every 7 days, so that'll bring you right up to December 24th.
All right, well, you've heard it from Masters. Don't buy an Xbox One, buy a good computer, and play CMT single-player version 3. You can play the Master Chief Collection later. I noticed in the campaign layout that there was another difficulty setting called Noble. What is that?
We put gameplay at a pretty high priority for us, and I've always been one of those people who always has felt, the proper Halo experiences on Legendary, that's when you really, have to, learn the sandbox and master the weapons, and that's when all the little nuances of the gameplay really come to the surface. So we kind of looked at the easy difficulty in one of the in-game files, and we're like, well, why don't we like make the jump from there's a big jump from normal to heroic, and then heroic to legendary. Why don't we make there be a jump from legendary to easy and rename easy a new difficulty? So with Noble, you have less enemies just because, on easier difficulties, there's less enemies. That's something we can't really change. But, in terms of AI and, behaviors and the multipliers that get applied to all the tags, for each difficulty, we made the same jump from heroic to legendary, from legendary to easy, and we call it Noble. And it's pretty tough. There is some discussion in us, how hard do we want it to be? My personal opinion that I'm pushing right now is that, people who are new to the game or aren't very good are going to want to play on normal, or who just want to, check out the missions but don't really want a challenge. Some people who want somewhat of a challenge are going to play heroic, maybe for their first playthrough. I think most people probably play each new game on heroic. So we hope, that's what people will try first. And then people are going to want a real challenge and they'll play legendary. And then you have the really hardcore fans and really hardcore players who, want something, another thing to occupy their time. And, they're not going to go back and play easy. So by presenting them a new difficulty, we present them something new that hopefully people will enjoy and will really be, hopefully won't be too grinding an experience. But, it'll be something fun, I think, for people to explore.
It sounds like pure suicide, but sounds fun.
Well, we all went through that stage when we first started playing Halo, where like we played on normal and it's like, oh man, this game is awesome. Then it's like heroic and it's like, oh man, this is really intense. Then you get the legendary and you're like, oh my god, how can anybody ever do this? And now I think, at least I know every time I boot up a Halo game, I just like jump right into legendary. I don't play the other ones. So for me at least, it's nice to, after 12, 13 years of always playing legendary and being challenged by like that, to have something that's even more over the top, that like really relies on me to be like crafty with my headshot weapons and stuff. And then we do some stuff in Noble as well, where some stuff doesn't appear. We take away some tools from the player, and some ammo and stuff, so it's just even more difficult.
Is there anything about the second half of the campaign that you can talk about?
There's a few things for people who have tried the Universal UI public beta, and there will be a release of the UUI very soon, so this is going to come out anyway. There is a new mission that we're adding. We're calling it the Commander. I'm not going to say much more than that, but I'm sure people can have some speculation about that. And then, we're obviously going to do a big thing with the Flood in the second half. We're almost treating the second half almost like a sequel to the original game, more like a sequel to our first half. But we're going to take advantage of the OS unit infections. We're going to go visit a lot of Bungie concepts, like how every Covenant species was supposed to be infectable. We're also going to go back to some of the original inspiration behind the Flood, which comes mostly from Ridley Scott's Alien, and then, further elaborated on by James Cameron in Alien. So you can see a lot of little influences in there from it. So I think it'll be pretty fun. I want to really, honestly, when we saw the Prometheans in Halo 4, it really, got me excited because I was like, oh, this is really cool. There's going to be a whole new class of enemies and new behaviors. I wish we could do something like that, but we're in the middle of a project. So, the idea of kind of reinventing the Flood as a new type of enemy is something we're going to do. But, I mean, people shouldn't be too alarmed. We're still going to keep, very much the classic, Flood behavior in mind, but infected, brutes, elites, humans, they're all going to have little nuances in their behaviors, that reflect the original thing that they were, as well as the grunt and jackal forms.
All right. So is there anyone that you want to thank, like, who helps you a lot with your team?
Oh, man, that's a long list. Well, like I said earlier, it's been 10 years since we've been, mainly working on the SPV3 section. We have Kirby, who's, done a ton of stuff. We have Bob. Jesse's been helping a lot lately. Matt, you've helped us with some B40 stuff, so thanks for that. The Lag is still Genius, who's done a lot of stuff that's really helped, us take this to the next level. Ifudafi has really done a great job with the effects. Also, Alexis has been a huge help. She's really done some amazing shader work that's really transformed this. You can actually see in the trailer when the Phantom goes in front of the sun, there's almost like this, exposure effect where, the sun, kind of blinds you almost. And it's weird. I don't really know how to explain it. But, she sends me test maps and I just see visual effects in there I never would have thought. The brutes actually have actual fur that looks like fuzzy that she did. She's just, taken what we already had what I would say are pretty impressive visuals, and she's just ratcheted that up to the next level. It's really fantastic. And Silicon has been really good with working on B30E. The entire level is incredible. He's done a lot of the interior work, and he's also helping with some of the portaling performance issues in SPV3. So, I mean, we got to give a shout-out to Cornman and Fireside for all their OS work. I could go on for a while, but, every one of the teams has been really important to making this, a reality. Where a lot of people are still focused on Silent Cartographer Evolved right now. But, we're all really excited to, see what happens when this gets released.
All right.
Cool.
Well,
I think that's it.
That's all we have time for, I guess.